All right, hey there, everybody. It's me, Chris Herman, here for another episode of On Deck. Today, it's just me spouting off on another topic, and today's topic is what so many people are talking about right now. Elon buys Twitter. Have you heard? Have you heard this? Have you heard of Twitter? Have you heard of Elon Musk? Well, the two have come together in what would either be described as a holy or ultimately evil union for the low price of $44 billion. So yes, just in the last few days, as many of you already know, Elon Musk arranged financing to secure the money needed for I believe $44 billion purchase of Twitter, which was up until a few days ago, a publicly held company, and now Elon is taking Twitter private, and boy, is everybody just freaking out about it, right? And freaking out because the world is coming to an end, and freaking out because freedom reigns. You know, it's like it's interesting to watch both sides of this equation. So I'll just today's gonna be a short one, but I do want to comment on this. So number one. I'm definitely an Elon Musk fan. I do think that what he has been able to accomplish in his career has been nothing short of remarkable, with particularly Tesla, which has made a huge impact on our retail automotive space, and then also SpaceX and all of the other projects that he's involved in. I mean, the guy's he's really accomplished quite a bit. I think he's managed to stay a very interesting and unique person in the public eye. I think he's been able to utilize social media and public media to his advantage. The guy has built and created a vehicle company in Tesla and sold the amount of vehicles that he has sold without $1 being spent in advertising. Think about that. Not a dollar. The guy has not run one ad for Tesla, and they have grown that business to be what it is today. It's remarkable. And as I've talked about in other podcasts, the retail automotive sector, and particularly in the American manufacturing sector, I think those companies have a little bit of a secret crush on old Elon and what he's been able to accomplish. So I am an Elon fan. I'm not like follow him till the end of the earth, but I think overall what he's done and is doing is very impressive and interesting, with a couple caveats that I'll mention later. On the Twitter side, in the last year or so, I have really found myself re-engaging in Twitter because I enjoy reading what people have to say about what's going on in the world. Is there some stupid shit on there? Absolutely. Has there also been a ridiculous amount of censorship on Twitter that is like it's almost borderline dumb? Yeah, and that's pretty much why Elon. That's why, at least on the surface, that's why he bought it, right? And of course, everybody's freaking out. But like when you lock and ban and shut down the accounts of the Babylon Bee, which is basically like the Onion. It's a satire account. When you lock them down for making a very innocuous statement, it's just like, that's where it's gotten. And I've, communicated some of my thoughts and beliefs in the past. That's not what this episode is about. But what I will say is it is very funny to watch some of the response on the left of just freaking out. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end. What's going to happen? Twitter is a septic cesspool that's only going to get worse, and it's going to be a dumpster fire, enabling hate speech. And it's just like, oh God, come on. Like, lighten up just a little bit here. I think everybody's taking it a little bit too seriously. I do believe that Elon buying Twitter will be good for Twitter in the short period of time. I think you're going to see a lot of people that were shadow banned and accounts that were throttled back, which I think is completely, absolutely against the fundamental basic rights instilled to us as human beings in the Constitution, i.e. freedom of speech. We're not seeing that anymore. We've seen record waves of censorship, throttling of accounts, closing accounts because we don't like what they say. But there are plenty of people out there saying plenty of dumb and hateful stuff, but that's perfectly okay if you're on the right side or the correct side of the narrative, and that's going to change. And that is good for the country and that's good for human beings. The more that adults have the opportunity to communicate honestly about their thoughts and feelings, and for us to not get our little hearts broken by some of these terrible comments, and to be able to actually, as adults, communicate, have disagreements, and have full-fledged discussions and or arguments out there, I think that's good. I think we all would agree there's a line that people can cross, and if you're talking about violence or those types of things, no, that's okay. But what has happened is we've gotten to the point prior to Elon buying Twitter where, you've got a particular group of people that are more in control of the narrative and have been dialing back and censoring those who are on the other side of that dialogue. And that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how it needs to be. And hopefully that's not how it's going to be moving forward. It's funny. I saw, a news reporter from like MSNBC, and he's like, just imagine what Elon can do during a political race. He could have the ability to slowly dial back certain campaign messaging that don't fit the narrative, his narrative. He could, shadow ban accounts. They could throttle information so that the public doesn't get the full information, thus influencing the election. It's like, way to just, put on paper what has been the entire battle plan for the last couple of years for a particular side. But hey, listen, it's funny because everybody's so worked up about this. On the left, everybody's upset that world is coming to an end. Now all these hate speechers are going to come out there, which is, it's nonsense. And quite frankly, on the right side of the argument, where everybody's like fired up and pro, let's go with Elon. And I think a lot of the people that people on the right follow or people that on the left think are on the right are not really. I don't think Elon is necessarily a hardcore Republican. It's funny to have watched the left attack Joe Rogan, who supported Bernie Sanders in the presidential election. So it's really not about what side you're on. It's more about what side of a particular narrative you're on. That being said, of course, most people on the right are very excited about Elon buying Twitter and unleashing the reins of censorship and giving voices, freeing the voices. Everybody wonders, is Donald Trump going to come back to Twitter? Who knows? Who knows, right? At the end of the day, I think it's just time for us to all move on past the Donald Trump time. It's going to be time to move on past the Joe Biden time. We got to move on, but we're not there yet. So right now we're going to have this big firestorm around Twitter. And so do I think it's good for Twitter that Elon bought it? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm on Twitter. I enjoy Twitter. I read, I think, the people that I follow a lot of journalists and people from the left. I follow a lot of journalists and people from the right. And I enjoy being able to see, the opposing opinions, the dialogue. But what I really, to me, whether you're from the left or from the right, it doesn't matter. To me, I'm more interested in, are you looking at things, from a particular viewpoint of honesty and truth, and not from the perspective of being attached to a particular narrative? Whether you're from the left or you're from the right, if you're willing to look at whatever the current situation is and say, yeah, this is good or this is kind of fucked up, honestly, that's what I appreciate. And that's why I follow many journalists from the left. Again, I've said this before, Matt Taibbi, Glenn Greenwald. There's some new kid, Michael, that I follow. I can't remember his name. He's a totally liberal guy, but I really appreciate his take on what's going on with the war right now. So I think in the short term, this purchase is going to be good for Twitter because it's going to open up dialogue and it's going to release some of this nonsensical shutting down of accounts and censoring that we've been going through for the last 2-3 years. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry, that's just not fundamentally good for us as a country. It's not what we were founded on, and it needs to go away. As adults, we need to have common sense when it comes to some jackass who is being violent or something like that. But when it comes to just differing opinions or opinions that don't necessarily fit the chosen narrative of the day, this country needs to be a place where those opinions are free to be communicated. And Twitter is sort of like the town center of the United States or of the world, and people need to be able to be free to say what they need to say, even if it is upsetting or offensive to some people. Grow up, be an adult, accept that there are 8 billion people on this planet, and not everybody's going to have the same opinion. Now, in all of this sort of fanboyism and fangirlism of Elon, of which I'm kind of there a little bit, I think one thing that nobody is really talking too much about is like, okay, he gets to buy the company. He'll find ways to monetize. I'm sure the company will do just fine, if not better, right? And I think that it will loosen the shackles of control, if you will, on what is said. But I still am kind of sitting back and going, all right, well, let's not forget that Elon Musk has a company called Neuralink, if I pronounced that correctly or incorrectly. I hope I did. Which is developing technology which is very close to being implemented, and if it hasn't already in animals, is already very close to being implemented in humans. Neuralink is a technology where they are creating a sort of computer microprocessor that can be installed in your brain that becomes a seamless integration of technology and biology in humans. Yes, he's working on it. Yes, it's a real company. Yes, that technology is moving forward. We've heard of other companies, implanting chips in people. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, if you're crazy, if you're this enamored with technology that you want a chip implanted on you, by all means, go for it, right? Go for it. But now I'm not down with that. And I can understand maybe why Elon might be concerned or interested in this field. But this is where I have a little bit of concern with this, because Elon has been very vocal about his concerns about the advancement of AI, artificial intelligence, yet at the same time he has a company that is creating technology that could merge technology and the human species into one, and he just bought essentially the largest communication platform, or one of the largest communication platforms on the planet. So yes, this can be, all under the guise of it's good for freedom, it's good for communication, and that can all be true. It can also be a stepping stone to a future connection of technology, biology, and a communications platform. I'm not smart enough to know how all that works, but I just sit back and I look at it and I go, he's a very intelligent business person, so he's got a short-term goal, and there's got to be some long-term goal down the road. So for all of you, most of you that are on the right going, yay, freedom, Elon, Twitter, just keep your fucking eyes open down the road, and don't be surprised if this somehow merges together in a way that maybe doesn't seem so cool. Okay? Just because he seems to be of good heart and good mind in terms of most of what he's doing, which I'm still there. I'm still of that opinion. Okay? Let's not forget that this is also a guy who has negotiated with and has large relationships with China. And let's not forget that this is a guy trying to get us to Mars, which, yay, that's cool, but also is developing technology to put computers and microprocessing essentially into humans. What could go wrong? So maybe even the coolest maverick of guy at some point in time, who knows what happens with him? Who knows what relationship goes south? Who knows if he catches on fire and turns into an evil overlord enemy, character out of a superhero movie. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but you just don't know what could happen over the next 10, 20 years. So don't be surprised if this whole Twitter thing gets snapped into something else and you go, I don't feel so good about that, right? So there you have it. Fair and balanced, right? I hammered the left a little bit for the hysterics, and I'm hammering the right a little bit for their overarching glee in this situation, because there's a long-term plan here that could unroll that could be a little bit creepy for everybody. So there you have it. Elon buys Twitter. It's the big news. Thanks for joining me here on deck. Look forward to seeing you again soon. If you find this content enjoyable, interesting, or entertaining, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, hit a like button, or as some people say, smash it. Leave some comments. Please interact, engage. That's what we're here for. Thanks so much and have a great day. We'll see you later.